the difference putting a white piece of paper over a lamp can make to your video is just why didn't I ever do this before? This may be the best looking video I've ever made. I don't know if you've ever noticed. My lighting's always off. I always see shadows and things like that. And there's probably there's shadows here, but it looks a lot better. So yeah, last night I went to see a little film called Star Wars Rogue One. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I will not say that correct name ever, apparently. There are only a few times that I have these sort of experiences where I watch a movie and afterwards I am literally speechless. And this is one of them, and it's for many reasons, in which I will go into detail within this video, but I want to leave a few out for spoiler reviews because I want to go see this movie twice or a third time because I'm still wrapping around what I saw. This movie is incredible, and I mean that genuinely. Whether it's an incredible movie or it had incredible moments, I found myself at the very end just sitting there and going, whoa. I, above a lot of other people, were especially excited for this movie because I read Star Wars Catalyst, the book that is based just before the events of this movie. Well, I say just before, it's like the events in the movie, you could argue that, but most of them take place like 15 years after the book. But I got a lot of backstory on characters like Galen Erso and Orson Krennic, Tarkin. So I was like on another level of excitement. If you haven't seen my review for it, it is up on the channel. You can go check it out now. Look, you got Force Awakens, and I love Force Awakens. Every time I watch it, I think I like it more. And I appreciate the music more. I appreciate the artistry within the movie instead of just looking at it as a New Hope ripoff. Which, yes, the overall story points, sure, you could argue that, but there are a lot of different ways that they told the story there. So I always appreciate the way they did that. And they're sort of rebooting this episodic series, so you gotta start there. But anyway, I'm not talking about Force Awakens. We're talking about Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Keyword, war. Gareth Edwards, before this film came out, I think like 2 years ago at Star Wars Celebration, he said, this is gonna be a war movie. And everyone's wondering, oh, it's kind of interesting. I mean, we haven't really seen a war movie within Star Wars. We got a glimpse at the Clone Wars. We've seen battles in the galaxy, things like that, but a real war scene. And this movie fulfills that. You get 30 minutes, maybe even more than that, of war scenery. It is epic in scope. It's incredible to see beach warfare, basically, and seeing huge AT-ATs, stomping on the ground and taking out these people between stormtroopers and the Alliance. It was so cool to see. And the thing is, they spent a lot of time within that place. I mean, they've shown it in the trailers, it's been a poster, things like that, and if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it. I was kind of worried how much time that would have within the movie because we're getting a lot of backstory, we're getting planets like Jeddah, but they really utilized it. I loved the way the characters played within that. They did something different to Star Wars that we have not seen before done. I mean, we've seen it similar in some episodes, but not at this scale with your main characters. And I love the way they went back and forth between the battles on the ground to the galactic battles, which weren't, huge scale battles. I was kind of hoping for we'd get something in the vein of episode 3, which was the last time we seen a space-based battle. And, people like to hate on that movie, but I like that. I really liked that scene. It was kind of awesome. But still, even if it wasn't as big as those and it didn't really fulfill that huge space battle, it was okay. Because honestly, story-wise, it made more sense that way. They didn't just throw in a space battle and go, oh, here's some nostalgia for you. And speaking of nostalgia, the characters. We got Darth Vader in this movie, and I'm not going to spoil it. As someone who has been watching Star Wars since they were 4 years old, and seeing Darth Vader as that big bad, and seeing what he does within this movie, especially at the end, it was incredible. If this is the last time we see him in a movie, I feel fulfilled with that character because it's what he does in such a small period of time. It knocks so many things off the scales for me. I think it's probably one of my favorite scenes this year. It just shows the raw power that Darth Vader inhabits. And I want to talk about his character. I want to talk about the few scenes that we got because he wasn't just there for 1 second. He did have quite a bit of a part. He didn't really show up for a lot of it, but it made sense whenever he came into the story. I can't explain it. Just so good. Then you get Tarkin, and that character. At first, I was like, "Whoa, whoever's playing that guy, they look really alike." And that probably was a guy who looked really like him, but I'm pretty sure there was some CGI put into his face, sort of like with Michael Douglas in Ant-Man, and I thought it was done really well. It looked like Tarkin, it sounded like Tarkin, it felt like Tarkin. That's what I wanted. If Tarkin's going to be in this, I don't want it to be a cosplay of Tarkin. I want it to feel like Tarkin. I want the lines to feel like they're being spoken by the character himself. And they really got down Peter Cushing. Whoever's acting that did a great job. And there's plenty of nostalgia in this movie to indulge. A lot of stuff. I mean, obviously the ships, you get those sweeping shots that are so iconic to Star Wars, but also the effects. I mean, that's technically nostalgia, but it's also just connected to the way a blaster would shoot, the way force choking would sound like. Take that as you will. So yeah, nostalgia-wise, they got it down. They did a great job with that. That was something that I had no doubt they would do right. That was probably one of my problems with the trailers. I was getting less story and more just nostalgia points, but I was okay with it because I knew we were going to get this story, going to see these characters, so I kind of just went, okay. And that's the beauty of this film. If you haven't seen a Star Wars movie, this is brilliant, okay? My friend David had never seen a full Star Wars movie before. They saw scenes and things like that, but they hadn't seen a complete film. And watching this, from his feedback, he thought it was great. But also for the people who are big fans, who've watched the films, who marvel in their greatness, can get a kick out of all these different points that they put in the movie. And getting back to the characters, this group that you're following within the movie, the Rebel team, they're quite diverse, not just racially, but morally. I mean, we have characters like Chirrut Imwe, played by Donnie Yen, and he is a Force dreamer, as they call it in the movie. And he had a line that he just repeated over and over again. I was like, what was it? I am the Force is with me. And he just kept going over, I'm the Force is with me. And the way this character moved within the movie, it convinced you that he had the Force. And I don't know if he had the Force. It still sort of left it open. But that being said, that character, so awesome. I mean, in the trailers I see him kicking ass. You know, he's got his bow staff and he's taking stormtroopers out. But in the full film, the way this character acts, oh, so good. And then he got his sidekick, Baz Malbus, and he is like a sharpshooter. He just goes like trigger finger on everyone. He's insane. Just like those two put together, like the Splash Bros. I mean, they do no wrong. They're like equal to each other. It's so cool the way those two characters act and their relationship with each other, how it's unified at the very end of the movie. And then K2SO. You're going to hear a lot of people talking about this character. Alan Tudyk plays this robot who has some of the sensibilities of C-3PO, but is more maneuverable and violent. He throws a grenade backwards and takes people out. It's just so cool the way the character acts. And by the way, I want to say something, and it's something I noticed within the movie, and I don't know if it's a thing against it, but it's something I definitely noticed. A lot of these characters don't even have to look before they're shooting. They're just going bang, you know, throw a grenade back and boom. Then you got Cassian, played by Diego Luna, and his character was different to what I thought he would be like. He's a bit more of a rogue. He takes more risks. He kills people, which is something that added more to the rebellion itself. Whenever you see it throughout these movies, they are kind of pictured as straight good, and in this it paints them as more brutal. They are prepared to take a life to save billions, and that is an interesting thing that they played on. Then obviously you have Jyn Erso, the main character in this movie, played by Felicity Jones. I love how this character evolved over time, how her past experiences with other people and her experiences with people she knew from the past sort of molded her as a person to do good for the galaxy. Galen Erso has a small role in this movie. In Catalyst he had a bigger role. I was more enriched in his character, so when I watched this movie I knew what he went through, I knew what he originally wanted to do, why he started working with the Empire, and how his relationship with Krennic formed. So maybe this character didn't work as well with other people, but for me, it was really well utilized. They kept him to the side because it was more focused on his daughter. And speaking of Krennic, so well done, because if you didn't know, he is not... Krennic isn't really a bad guy. He does bad things, but his intentions are just sort of to be at the top. Yeah, he's still a bad guy, what am I saying? But I guess he isn't a horrible guy. Really? He's still pretty bad. But anyway, he was great. Ugh. Okay, my camera died. Anyway, Galen's a cool character, Krennic's a cool character, Tarkin's a cool character, Riz Ahmed's great as Bodhi Rook, Forrest Whitaker's good as the reprising character to this universe coming back from the Clone Wars. Saw Gerrera, and even Jimmy Smits gets a role in there as Bail Organa. Okay, my camera's gonna die again. What's going on here? I have 3 batteries. Please don't give up on me this one. Anyway, something that really hit me, as I mentioned before, was the visual. From the panning shots of different planets, the explosions, the ships cruising through the sky, they managed to use a lot of color within the frames, but also have this gritty layer to different parts of the movie. And I gotta say, the music, I want to download the soundtrack. John Williams didn't do the score for this, Michael Giacchino did, and wow, how seamlessly did it fit into the Star Wars tone. And the thing is, it didn't rely on nostalgia. There was new sounds, there was new pieces of music. So now my overall opinion of this movie in 5 words or less. I would say that this is a complete, breathtaking, exciting, nostalgic epic. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Rogue One, a Star Wars story. If you've seen the movie, tell me what you thought of it in the comment section below. Tell me what you thought of my review in the comment section below. Hit the like button, tells me you enjoyed it, and subscribe because it makes me feel good. It makes me do more. And subscribe because I can never say that right in the first attempt. What if I say? And subscribe because it makes me feel good. It makes me want to do more videos. So hopefully enjoy my review for Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and may the Force be with you, movie fans.